So UFC 300's main event, the mystery that just carried on seemingly for months now, has finally come to a conclusion. We have our answer. Jamahal Hill is going to come back. He relinquished his belt due to injury, and he's going to get an opportunity to fight Alex Pereira for the belt that he never lost.
Rightfully so.
Okay, so just take it at face value. Great fight. Very deserving for Jamahal Hill to come back. He did the right thing. He deserves his shot. I just feel like Dana White shot himself in the foot by telling everybody, hey, this is going to be the craziest announcement you've ever heard. UFC 300's main event is going to blow your hair back. And, while it's a great fight, it's kind of what we expected at 205 for the next fight. So it's not a huge surprise. And it didn't really blow all of our hair back. What I'm more interested in talking about, first, I want to get your opinion on the main event. But Dana said something that really intrigued me. Leon Edwards was offered 3 fights from 3 different fighters, and he said yes every time, but they couldn't work it out with the other fighter in any of the 3 instances. And that kind of makes me believe that it wasn't Belal Muhammad, because Belal seemed to say yes throughout the last couple of months, making it very clear that he wants that rematch that ended in a no contest against Leon Edwards. So I'm interested in who those 3 people were. And we can speculate on that, but first I want to get your thoughts on Hill versus Pereira.
Yeah, I love the matchup. Hill versus Pereira is an amazing fight. We kind of knew that was going to be something that happened, whether it was at 300 or just happened sometime in the year. But I have to say, as far as the announcement goes, it deserves a wah, wah, wah.
Yep.
It fell flat.
D-.
And if you go to the comment section of anywhere on any social media, they're just getting roasted for this. And I don't think it's because the matchup. People love the matchup. Everybody loves Alex Pereira. We got a Hall of Famer in less than 10 fights in the UFC. Everybody loves Jamahal Hill. Not only is he a great fighter with a great, very entertaining style, but as soon as he became the champ and got hurt, he relinquished the belt. How can you not love a guy like that? But what happened was the UFC must have thought they had something bigger, a bigger fish on the line, right? It's like they threw a line out deep sea fishing, and they're like, "Oh, we got a big one."
And they caught GSP or something like that.
Right. To me, honestly, the way they were building it up, and it was promotional genius. I think Dana White did everything right, and the fact that he really hyped it up like that was cool. I've never seen anything like it, and truly, I was up at night thinking about combinations of fighters and matchups that could potentially be the 300 main event. And he was selling it like this was going to be the first 3-way fight. We're going to have Khabib come back, Conor come back, and GSP all come back and fight each other, best man, King of the Hill style. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. And instead, we get one 205 world champion fighting another 205 former world champion. Not a fight that I dislike at all. I'm a very big fan of both fighters, and I think the style matchup is very fun. But that's not what I was expecting.
No, certainly not. And it was all the hype that built it up that made us kind of feel this way about the announcement, right? Because if you just came out and announced that fight, everybody's going to be super happy to see that. Everybody, I think for the most part, was appreciative of what Jamahal Hill did and is going to be happy to see him get a chance to go back in there and get his belt back. And there's another caveat to the story, and that is that Jamahal Hill defeated Alex Pereira's mentor, Glover Teixeira, and so there's a built-in storyline there. So the pupil is coming back to avenge his older and retired now mentor's loss.
Right.
So it's a great fight with a good storyline. Yeah. But when you come out and say that your brain is not even going to be able to handle the UFC 300 main event, and then you announce a fight that we all sort of thought was going to happen anyways, it's not. It really makes me believe that they were trying to make something happen at 170. And Chael Sonnen has been saying it to his credit since the beginning of the year. Something's going on at 170. Yeah. Keep your eyes on 170. And I think what Dana said in the post-fight press conference certainly proves Chael right in that regard. Yeah. Because Dana said that there were 3 fighters that were offered to Leon, and for whatever reason they couldn't make it. So I'm going to tell you who I think those 3 people were.
Let's hear it.
We know it was Khamzat Chimaev. If Ariel Helwani reports something, 99 times out of 100, it's the truth.
Right.
So he said that Khamzat has been offered the fight. They're trying to work it out. There's visa issues with Khamzat, and I think that's probably why that didn't come to fruition. I think the other was probably Shavkat Rakhmonov. That would be a huge fight. A lot of people see Shavkat as the next superstar at 170. And then you have Belal Muhammad. And the reason that I don't think it was Belal is because Belal, I believe 100% would have said yes. Bilal's been begging for this fight.
Right.
So if they offered the fight to a third person and they couldn't make the fight come to fruition, that makes me believe it wasn't Belal.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to entertain things like Islam Makhachev. You start to entertain ideas like Georges St-Pierre, Conor McGregor.
Right.
And I don't think Islam would have fought during Ramadan. I don't think it's feasible to give Conor McGregor a shot at the 170 belt since he hasn't won a fight in God knows how many years now. So it really makes me think that they may have thought that they had GSP on the line for this fight, and that would have sufficed to blow all of our hair back. That would have been the mind-blowing moment that Dana White promised all of us, GSP versus Leon Edwards. So I think the three that they offered him, and we'll have no way of knowing because Dana said that he's never gonna reveal that information, but I say GSP, Khamzat, and Shavkat.
Yeah, I think those are great. You know, Shavkat wouldn't say no either, but we did see him fight recently.
But there's Ramadan, so that could have been the issue for him.
Right, and that's the same thing with Khamzat. Not only could he not get into the States, but he tweeted a few days ago that, you know, he's not going to be fighting during Ramadan or right before or right after, and that's fine. But I think it was more of those unicorns, the Georges St-Pierre. I think Conor McGregor was potentially on their mind, at least a little bit. You have to blow our hair back when you set these types of expectations for us. I didn't really see it being Belal Muhammad or any of the guys that are the usual suspects at 170, just because that doesn't really get us out of bed like we thought some of these matchups possibly could. And look, I love Leon Edwards, one of the best fighters on the planet right now, but he's not the guy that should be selling UFC 300. And that's why you needed that creative dance partner, right? Yeah. You needed somebody that was maybe from the past. Like GSP would have been perfect because he took all that time off. He never lost a belt, took all that time off, and then he goes up to 185 out of, a one-night type of thing. A one-night stand with the UFC, and he steals Michael Bisping's belt. And then he leaves again. He relinquishes the belt. It would have been really cool to see him come back into his original weight class, come in, steal the belt, one night only, GSP's back in action. He'd probably win the belt and then give it back again. I thought that was the direction they were going to go. Obviously, a lot of plates were up in the air, and they didn't really know what direction they were going to go. I have a feeling they aren't as thrilled with this announcement as they probably wanted to be, given the expectations that they led us to believe were on the horizon. I think Alex Pereira versus Jamahal Hill is an amazing fight. I can't wait to see it happen, and I have a feeling somebody's going to be put to sleep.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I don't know which way that's going to go. We'll have to predict that later, but I'm really excited for that fight. I just wish it would have been announced, like a regular UFC event. I don't think we needed this whole 3 months of dragging out and building up hype and tension. Now all you've done is angered the casual fans, the hardcore fans, and everybody in between, when you could have just given us a really good fight and we would have really appreciated it off the first bat. I think it took a lot of different opinions and thoughts, and I think even recent wins and recent losses defined what fight was going to be the main event for UFC 300. Our younger brother Chris, who's behind the camera right now, y'all, if y'all don't know, now you know. He's been saying for the longest time, man, if Islam Makhachev would have lost to Volkanovski, I have a feeling Volkanovski would have gone up and fought Leon Edwards for 170. He'd be the first 3 triple champ at UFC 300, 45, 55, and then 70. That would have been something that would have blown our hair back.
Yeah.
If you would have got Khabib Nurmagomedov back, which would have never happened, for his 30th win.
At 300. Yeah.
These are the types of things we were all thinking. Tom Aspinall and Alex Pereira, Alex Pereira, who doesn't have 10 fights in the UFC, to be the first triple champion. That's what I was expecting. Not expecting the current world champion to fight the former world champion. But at the end of the day, we're going to get a great card. We're going to get a great fight. I don't know if it beats out 299 as far as the best cards of 2024 as it sits right now, but I think this is still a very intriguing matchup. I can't wait to see it happen. And after about a week or so of the fans throwing their fists in the air and being mad at Dana White for not delivering, I think everybody's going to settle. The dust is going to settle, and we're still going to have a very fun UFC 300.
Well, I think what all of us MMA fans need to do here is have a little bit of short-term memory loss. Mm-hmm. Let's all let the air clear. Forget that Dana White said that we were going to get the craziest fight announcement of all time.
Right.
And just understand that they may be a little bit overpromised and underdelivered. But let's let all that settle and then look at how good 300 actually is, right?
Right.
Because you have the BMF fight on there. You've got 2 title fights. It's stacked from the prelims to the main event.
Good prospects on there as well.
Right. And here's the other thing, too, and this is what not a lot of people are considering. When you have a card that's as good as 299, and then you have a card that's as good as 300, a star was born last night in Ilia Topuria. There's only so many marquee fighters that you can put on a card before all of the following cards start to suffer.
Right.
So do you want, 300 to be the most insane card of all time at the expense of 301, 302, and 303.
Right.
I'm not going to stop watching MMA after UFC 300. So I want all the cards to be fire. And so if you go overbalanced with stacking a card, your next couple of pay-per-views are probably going to suffer, and the UFC knows that. And so at the end of the day, Jamahal Hill, Alex Pereira is a fight I'm very excited to see, and I'm looking very forward to it.
Me too. And UFC 300 has a bunch of competitive fights on it. Same with 299. So you have to expect these guys to have to deal with healing some wounds after these fights. And I'll just play devil's advocate for 1 second. Just hear me out. People were up in arms when they found out, UFC 200, we're going to bring Brock Lesnar back. There's going to be an awful, gaudy, yellow Octagon, all this stuff. People were really angry about that. Well, now you get your hardcore fans, not your casual matchup. You get a real fight. You get 2 world champions. You get 2 guys that are some of the best strikers, some of the most prolific knockout artists the UFC has on their roster right now. And now the hardcores don't like it. They wanted that weird unicorn type of fight. So you can't win to lose if you're Dana White.
We MMA fans don't know what we want
We're
sometimes.
the worst. See ya.